We are halfway through the NFL season, and the playoff picture is starting to form. Hello, everybody. I am Noah Clark. This is Snap the Pigskin. We've got a lot of stuff to cover today. Lamar Jackson returning for the Baltimore Ravens. Can he save the Dolphins' season? Are the Ravens fighting for the division right now and maybe could sneak up on the Steelers? Packers and Colts lose. They are the only two teams left that had only one loss, and now they have two losses. Are the Packers frauds? And also, too, is the NFL just that weird this year? Third down, we talk about the trade deadline. We'll talk about the trade deadline today, how it was bonkers. And then fourth down, what have we learned through the halfway mark? So if you are joining us, please give us a like and subscribe onto this channel. And let's get into it with our drive of the week, starting with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Baltimore playing pretty well here for the Ravens. They just got Lamar Jackson back, a crucial piece for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar, not only did he return last week, he returned and he dominated in incredible fashion with a multi-touchdown game again against the Miami Dolphins, and they secured a massive win over the Dolphins. Baltimore right now, with that win, potentially it is a season-altering win for the Ravens. The only reason I say that it is a season-altering win for the Ravens is you look at their schedule. 3 out of the next 4, they have teams with a 500 or less record, and Baltimore is sitting in prime position right now to kind of sneak up behind Pittsburgh and take that division back. Pittsburgh's kind of been leading the division, and so it's kind of going to be up to the Ravens if they can get it done. Now, they have a big game this week. The Vikings play the Ravens. It is at Minnesota. It is in U.S. Bank Stadium, which is a house of horrors. So if Lamar pulls that win off at U.S. Bank Stadium, that would be insane and incredible for this team. They need it right now. They need it for this team. They need this win. And just desperately get off the schneid. I mean, looking at it right now, too, because after you get the Vikings, you have 3 winnable games. You have the Browns, the Jets, and the Bengals, and then you play the Steelers at home, and that'll be a really big deciding factor on who is going to take control in the AFC North. I don't think the Bengals are going to hang on and win the division, or at least make things interesting in the division, but you never know. And depending on if Joe Burrow comes back for Cincinnati, it definitely is definitely anything is possible. Anything is possible in that division. So that is something to even keep an eye on as well. Now, on to second down. We talk about the NFL. I've said this before. The NFL is just weird. It continues getting weird, and it continues getting even more bonkers. This past week, it's with the Packers and the Colts, the two teams that were leading their division or leading their conference in the NFC and AFC playoff races. Both suffered a loss. The Indianapolis Colts losing to the Aaron Rodgers Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Green Bay Packers taking a tough loss to the Carolina Panthers. Green Bay was favored as a double-digit winner in this game against Carolina, and they lose to Carolina at home. Brutal stuff. This year has just been one of those seasons. It has been one of those years where the NFL just decides we're going to get freaky, we're going to get it wild. It's going to get a bit crazy. And we've seen it now with the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, even with the Colts being this good, like, it is really impressive. Now, yeah, they take a loss to Pittsburgh. They take a loss to Pittsburgh, and yeah, it's a bad loss. It's a tough loss, but it was kind of a better loss than what Green Bay had. Because if you look at the Packers' loss, Green Bay's loss to Carolina probably is one of those losses that could change the season dramatically for one team. And Green Bay has struggled. I mean, I've said this for years with Matt LaFleur, and everybody has, and people haven't really noticed this, but I've noticed this for a few years with Matt LaFleur is he tends to overthink things on his play calls, and he tries to do too much out of his play calls, and that can usually doom you. And when that dooms you, I mean, you never can get out of it. And here we are now in year 6 of this with Matt LaFleur for Packers fans, and it's the same thing. And the Carolina loss was a great example of how bad it has gotten with Matt LaFleur's play calling. I mean, Packer fans are expecting this team to be better and to just go out and beat the Panthers. The Bills did it the week before. Why couldn't Green Bay do it? That is a very big concern. Now Green Bay has the Eagles coming in. Must-win game. And I know everybody's going to say, yeah, every game is a must-win game, but this is a big game because you could take the number 1 seed back in the NFC with a win over the Eagles on Monday Night Football. And hopefully they can figure it out, but you look at it also, too, they don't have Tucker Kraft. They're going to have to rely on Luke Musgrave. Hopefully Luke Musgrave can look like he was the guy a couple years ago. I mean, he was the guy coming in and being that starter for Green Bay. So they have to bounce back. Hopefully they can. I mean, it is a tough bounce back game against the Eagles, and we'll see what they can do. Now, back to Indianapolis and the Colts. I mean, everybody wants to sit up here and say Indianapolis is frauds. I mean, and we'll talk more about that when we get to our 4th down here, but everybody wants to sit up here and say the Colts are frauds and potentially, they could be, but you look at it, I mean, they only lost by 3. And everybody does, want to pick and choose their headlines, their narratives of which team is which. So it doesn't help that the Colts lost this game. I know the Packers, when the loss to the Panthers, that is a brutal loss. You cannot lose that game. Can't lose that game. Like 10 times out of 10. If you're a double-digit favorite, you should not lose that game. And mind you, their 2 losses are when they are favored as a double-digit favorite. Not good. Not good. But Indianapolis, hey, give credit to the Colts so far this year. How well they have done, how well they have managed to be successful, and how well they have been able to really just kind of, for Shane Steichen, save his job. I mean, it's been a really good season so far. Hopefully they can keep it going. Now, moving on, 3rd down. We're going through these really fast here, but we will start to pick it up a bit. On to 3rd down. The NFL trade deadline was absolutely insane. If you've already thought this NFL season was pretty insane, the trade deadline got even more insane as we had multiple trades galore going on left and right, being a couple teams getting a few players here and there, others getting big players. And the team that had, and on top of that too, we had some buyers, we had some sellers. The biggest team that was a seller at the deadline was the New York Jets. The Jets just basically kind of got rid of everybody, or at least got rid of 2 big players, getting rid of Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. They get rid of those 2 guys, and everybody was expecting they'd make one more move and they'd get Breece Hall out the door, but I guess that's not the case. So Breece Hall is going to stay a Jet, and he's not too happy about it. Meanwhile, other teams like the Cowboys had a fire sale like crazy. Cowboys got Quinnen Williams and they got Logan Wilson. So they got another linebacker and they got a nose tackle to add to that defense, which already was kind of atrocious, and they just added more run D to it. The Colts getting Sauce Gardner, that's a big risk as well. And I even, with Sauce, I mean, like, he hasn't really been an elite corner. And this was and then I will get into the winners and losers. And let me just start by saying the winner of the whole trade deadline is, the Colts, because they get Sauce Gardner. They get an all-pro corner. They lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I guess they say, hey, let's go get an all-pro corner. Let's go get a guy in Sauce Gardner who could help us in the secondary. I am very interested how this is going to work out. Not only that, but it's also, too, Chris Ballard gave up way more than he should have for Sauce Gardner. He gave up 2 first-round picks to go and get Sauce Gardner, who, by the way, is in his mid to late 20s right now. I mean, he's getting out of his prime. He's getting close to being out of his prime. But you also look, too, he's not played at the elite level that Sauce Gardner was drafted to when he was with the Jets, when they first drafted him. So now, and oh yeah, by the way, too, they gave up 2 firsts and they gave up A.D. Mitchell. I didn't understand the logic behind the Colts. I mean, because, yeah, they're the winner in this, and I picked them as the winner. But also, too, Indianapolis, it's like they could have given up a second or a fourth to go and get Sauce. They could have not even given up those 2 firsts. So now with Chris Ballard giving up those 2 firsts, man, it's like you got to win now. Like, this is a win now move. Like, it's a win now move that signifies that, we're going all in on this thing. We're going in and we're going to go in and we're going to make our defense one of the top defenses, because they've been a really good defense this year under new defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. But yeah, it just puzzles me. And then you get rid of A.D. Mitchell, who's a solid wide receiver for this team. And the Jets, I do think, yeah, they came out kind of on top on this, but also too, like, they came out, with losing Sauce Gardner, which brings me to my, which now brings me to my losers in this. And I'll talk about the loser. There's 2 teams here who were losers. The Cowboys and the Jets. The only reason I say Dallas is everybody's, and for people who listen to this and they're saying, why would you have the Cowboys as losers? The Cowboys just got Quinnen Williams, an all-pro defensive tackle, to pair with another all-pro defensive tackle in Kenny Clark. Yeah, they did. But it's still not going to solve the fact that their defense is really bad. Their defense is terrible. The loss of Micah Parsons, the defense is terrible. The secondary is terrible. They're one of the worst teams in DVOA. They're sitting in the bottom of the league in DVOA. They're sitting in the bottom of the league in a lot of categories. Like, the Micah Parsons trade, just like even still after the ramifications, still makes no sense, because it made no sense. And it was so easy for Jerry Jones to give Micah the money, give him the money, pay him the money, and just let the situation die down. And he did it. And now, when you look at this Cowboys team, there's no way they're making the playoffs. There's no way they're making the playoffs. They're sitting right now not in a really good spot. I mean, they have been pretty bad. They've lost 2 straight now. They're second in the NFC East, which, by the way, the NFC East right now is absolute dog water. And Dallas is sitting at 3-5-1 with probably no chance of getting to the playoffs. You trade away Micah Parsons, and you trade him for the 2 first-round picks, and then you use, I believe they use one of those 2 first-round picks and their own first-round pick to get Quinnen Williams. And it makes no sense. I mean, it makes no sense. Dallas, if they're saying we're going to go all in on this, if Jerry Jones is really saying we're going all in on this, like, brother, you're 3-5-1. You're not making the playoffs. Like, the offense has been really incredibly amazing, But this team just simply does not have it. And this trade just, it baffles me. It baffles me because honestly, I don't know why the Cowboys would make this deal when they know that they could have just paid Micah Parsons and their defense probably would have been better. It would have been better. I mean, on top of that too now, I mean, Kenny Clark's going to be in a contract year coming up. Do you want to pay Quinn Williams? I mean, you just basically now burned Micah Parsons for Kenny Clark and 2 firsts, and then you give up 2 firsts to go and get a guy who's younger in Quinn Williams. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense what the Cowboys' logic is. And then they traded also too for Logan Wilson when they already have a decent enough linebacking core. I mean, they have Eric Kendricks, Demarion Overshown on that linebacking core. They're 2, really solid linebackers. I just don't understand where Jerry is going with this when you add a guy, mind you, too, Logan Wilson got benched. So you're adding a guy who got benched by the Bengals to your roster for a 7th round pick. It just makes no sense. Jerry just, I guess he's trying to beef that defense up, but we'll see if it pans out. I mean, their season already is down the tubes. They're sitting there pretty badly. And then on the other side, the New York Jets, they had a fire sale. They got rid of, they get rid of Sauce Gardner and Quinn Williams, 2 of your star players on your defensive side. You get 2 firsts. You get basically 3 first-round picks. 3 first-round picks. You get the 2 from the 2 from the Sauce Gardner deal, and then the 1 from the Cowboys deal, but that's a conditional pick, so it doesn't work until 2027. And if I'm right on this deal, but it makes no sense. I mean, the Jets. I get, the season for the New York Jets is a wash, but it hurts me to say that. I mean, like Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner were loyal Jets. So you letting him go just makes this thing even harder because now you have to rebuild all over, or at least rebuild what was a relatively good defense. And I just don't know. I just don't know where the Jets are going. I mean, we've seen this for years on end now, almost 2 decades worth of them just sucking. 2 decades worth of them sucking. And I don't know, if you're a Jets fan, I don't know how you can live with that. How you can live with just being bad for most of your life. And they're going to continue to be bad. I mean, who knows? Maybe Aaron Glenn can get this team to a new direction. I just didn't understand it. And then trading Breece Hall. You didn't want to trade Breece Hall. They wanted a 3rd. You asked for a 3rd. Nobody was willing to offer a 3rd. The Chiefs actually offered a 4th and turned it down, and the Jets turned it down. I mean, at that point, if you're just trying to get him off the roster, you should take what you can get. And now he's stuck on the roster for the rest of the season. So, to me, it's brutal. It's brutal for the Jets because now they're going to be even worse, and I guess they're just going to tank even worse for for maybe a top draft pick. I mean, we've seen them every year get like these top caliber players, and they just don't seem to pan out. I mean, they've had Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Quinn Williams, and all there on that team, and you can't seem to muster a winning season, or even just even like 7 wins. You can't even muster 7 wins. Just insane. And then the other loser I was going to add in here, and I didn't, but I should call him out. Miami Dolphins. What the heck are you doing? Like, I'm calling out the Miami Dolphins here. What the heck are you doing? Like, what is going on with that organization? They get rid, I mean, like the Dolphins right now are dumpster fire for so many reasons. For one, they traded for Tyreek Hill a few years ago. They get multiple first round picks for Tyreek Hill. Okay, that's awesome. They get Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill hasn't panned out in Miami. I mean, he's the only star player, he's the only good saving grace they have. He's not getting his targets. And he just suffered an injury that may be the end of his career, maybe the end of his, tenure in Miami. Who knows? They basically just, I think, they basically just say, we're going to let him go. And then on top of that, you have Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle hasn't been good either. And teams were offering to trade for Jalen Waddle. The Dolphins' asking price for Waddle was a first. I don't think a lot of teams would have even offered a first. I mean, the Jaguars, when you look at it, the Jaguars traded for Jacoby Myers for a third and a fifth round pick. Jalen Waddle probably would have gone for that. And the only reason I say that is because we've had this conversation before. Wide receivers, in terms of trades, just aren't, it's just very hard to it's very hard to see what, the value is on a wide receiver when you trade for him. I mean, just the only team really that has done a good job of it is the Green Bay Packers with the Devontae Adams trade. And there probably is another team out there I'm missing that also did a pretty good job of this. But I mean, the Dolphins didn't even want to trade. The Dolphins had multiple calls. They didn't want to trade Jalen Waddle. They also had Devon Achane too, who they were going to trade at the deadline. Multiple teams were calling. The Dolphins didn't want to deal with them. They could have easily traded him. They could have easily traded Waddle. You could have easily got draft capital out of that. They traded Jalen Phillips, but they didn't trade him for enough to the Eagles. And so now you're sitting here. Now the Dolphins are sitting here with Jalen Waddle still on the roster, Devon Achane still on the roster, and very little to, if none, draft capital. And oh, by the way, they fired their general manager about a week ago, and the general manager is the one who got this team stuck in the first place. And it's not worked. I mean, and now the new GM's trying to save face, and he's not doing a good job either. He's not. They could have cleaned house. They could have sold everything, sold the farm. But I guess the front office believes in Mike McDaniel. They believe in what he does, and they believe that he can be successful. I think they can. It's just they need to get. If there is one solution to all this, for the Dolphins to be relative, to be relevant, and to be good, it's simply one thing. You have to let Tua go. They have to find a way to get out of that Tua contract. I mean, it was bad. I mean, Chris Greer signed Tua to that extension, and it has turned out to be an absolutely bad signing. I mean, the Dolphins, they made the playoffs before Tua's contract extension, but now afterwards, they've been worse. He can't play. He can't throw a football more than 15 yards. He's not the right fit for Mike McDaniel's offense. And they need a quarterback who can fit that offense and can fit those players. Tua's not it. Tua's not it. He's not the guy. And I just don't understand what I don't understand what their thought process is. Like, we're going to hope that we suck enough to where we can get a top quarterback. I mean, good luck. The quarterback draft class right now is pretty bad. It is really bad. And there isn't a lot of high quality talent. I'm just saying, not a lot of high quality talent. So I just don't know. I don't know what the Dolphins are doing. And they've been, by the way, one of those organizations that just stayed like flat. They've never gone up. They've gone up sometimes. They've gone, they've gone up. Yeah, they've gone down, but they've stayed at that kind of flat line of where they're just okay. So I don't know. But those are my losers. The only winner out of this was the Colts. I mean, the Colts got better. Maybe the Jaguars too. I would say because they also got Jacoby Myers and Travis Hunter just got hurt, and they don't know how long Travis Hunter is going to be out. And Brian Thomas has been banged up in and out of the lineup, so they don't know either. But yeah, Colts right now take the cake because their defense right now is playing really well, and they're playing at a really good level. And this trade, maybe it gets them over the hump, maybe not. Who knows? So on to fourth down. And now we're going to get into fourth down here, and we're going to talk about the halfway mark because we are past the halfway mark. We're in week 10. And now it's time for a little bit of what we learned through the first, through the first 9-10 weeks of the regular season. I will say I have a lot on this subject of just talking about how wild it is that the Chiefs and the Bills could potentially be in, at least the Chiefs. The Chiefs could right now be sitting in on a 7 seed or not be in the playoffs, which is wild. Like Mahomes has never missed the playoffs since being a starter for the Chiefs. And I said last week that loss to the Bills was a huge loss because now they're kind of sitting there, teetering on that edge of them not making the playoffs or them having to play on the road. And looking at the playoff seeding, if the playoffs were to start today, the Chiefs would be out and the Jaguars would be in. Jaguars would be sitting at a 7 seed right now. And so I can't believe that. I just can't believe it. What I will also say too is what I also say too is, the Chiefs got Rashee Rice back. They got Rashee Rice back. They got, they get Xavier Worthy. And I think having those two healthy finally and in the lineup has helped the Chiefs offense a little bit. The problem is, though, is Travis Kelce has not done anything this year. I mean, I haven't heard much about Travis Kelce at all. Like, Taylor Swift really sucked the athleticism out of him, like, as soon as he got engaged. I mean, because you look at Travis Kelce's numbers, his numbers this year for the Chiefs are bad. I mean, they're not good. I mean, they're not, and I'm saying this, and the only reason I'm saying this is like they're bad. Like this year through, I got to put my glasses on here, but this year through 9 games, 10 games this season, he has 41. He's been targeted 53 times. He's caught 41 passes. He leads the team in receptions with 540, but he only has 3 touchdowns. Now, you could say, I mean, on the team, that's pretty dang good. That's a pretty good stat. But then when I look at the leaders and I look at Travis Kelce, he is ranked 17th. And yeah, he's first among tight ends. I get that. But also, too, like, he's got to pick it up. I mean, these are not like Travis Kelce, like elite numbers where he's like the main focus for Kansas City. He's not been that. And the Chiefs have kind of struggled with that. And we've seen a lot more of Noah Gray. So for me, I'm very curious how the Chiefs are going to fare the rest of the season. That's one thing. Another thing is, too, and I talked about this on second down, Colts are very interesting And I may have to go back on my talk of the Packers being a fraud. And as a Packers fan, it's tough for me to say that, but it's true. I mean, they've lost two bad games. They've lost two bad games. They lost two games to the Browns in a game they should have won. They were double-digit favorites. They had that game in the bag. They couldn't close out. They lost that game. And then the Panthers game, they looked bad from start to finish. And I just they deserve to lose that game. And it's so crazy to me because you can't really, because a week ago they just beat the Steelers handily. And then this week they can't even get 20 points against Carolina. They have to wait till the last 2 minutes to score. I mean, it's just bad. Green Bay has just been bad this year. The excuses have been just bad, But Indianapolis, I think, could be a fraud. I mean, you look at that Steelers game. Steelers was trashing them for most of that game. And it didn't take until like the fourth quarter to really see the Colts kind of turn it on and really start to hammer it against the Steelers. I get the Colts are the 1 seed, but I don't know if this team really is. And the other thing, I look at the AFC too. The AFC is kind of wide open. Same with the NFC. I mean, the NFC is very much wide open this year, which is fine. It's very fine. I mean, like, I'm okay with that. But also too, like with Indianapolis, it's like a year ago they were pretty bad. And now this year they're sitting at the top of the division. It could be just because they had a last place schedule. I mean, but they're a third place schedule this year. So that's one. Obviously, another thing is the Vikings don't know what the heck they're doing with their quarterback situation with JJ McCarthy. I mean, maybe they figured it out. JJ McCarthy did get the win in Detroit, which was a massive win for Minnesota and a massive loss for Detroit trying to stay in the division race. I mean, they're now 1-2 in division games so far this season. They've only won one, and it's to the Bears, but they've lost to the Packers and they've lost to the Vikings. So they're not sitting in a good spot. But I am confused by Minnesota. I mean, they waited 9-10 weeks just for JJ McCarthy to finally play, and he got them the win. But also, too, with JJ McCarthy, like, he didn't look all that good against Detroit. So I don't know. I don't know. They have a quarterback situation that's just bad. So it's tough there. Now, as we get into, and we're talking about this on fourth down, I wanted to, because we did this last year and we did this the year before, talk about our division winners and if I want to cut them or if I want to keep them. Cut them or keep them. Bring the slicer. And talked about the division winners earlier. At the beginning of the season, we did this little exercise at the beginning of the season. I talked about the division winners. And just a little recap of what we talked about was I gave my 7 playoff teams, including the Super Bowl team, and I gave the division winners. And middle of the season, once we get to the halfway mark, we flip. We can either choose to either change it or keep it. So looking at the regular season predictions at the beginning of this year, at the beginning when we started back in September, division winners in the AFC, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, and Texans. In the NFC, the Eagles, the Rams, the Bucks, and the Packers. And in the playoff bracket for the AFC, the Ravens were a 1 seed, the Bills were a 2 seed, the Chiefs were a 3 seed, the Texans were a 4 seed, the Steelers were a 5 seed, the Chargers were a 6 seed, and the Broncos were a 7 seed. In the NFC, the Eagles were 1, Packers were 2, Rams were 3, Bucks were 4, Vikings were 5, Niners were 6, and Falcons were 7. Yeah. Let me just say, everything is completely flip-flop. So and completely flip-flop. So let's start with the AFC, and I have my division winners. I completely redid my picks. The only two teams that I think are for sure going to probably lock it down are the Bills and the Ravens. I think the Jaguars could sneak by and get past the Colts. I think the Colts down the stretch here, the second half of the season for Indianapolis is not easy. It's not easy. Jacksonville's is a lot easier. And I think with the add of Jacoby Myers, that gives Trevor Lawrence at least another weapon. Depending on if Travis Hunter can come back, that would be huge for that Jaguars team. But I have the Jaguars here making the playoffs. I have them as a 4 seed. I have the Chargers winning the AFC West, and I have them beating the Broncos to kind of steal it. They beat the Broncos earlier this year. And I have the Chargers being the 1 seed, which would be very, very interesting. Baltimore would be number 2. I think the Ravens, too, with Lamar coming back. I think they have a shot of making things interesting in the North. The Bengals really aren't that competitive. The Browns aren't that competitive. I mean, Lamar coming back is so huge for Baltimore because now you look at it, if they beat Minnesota and they steal that game in Minnesota at US Bank, their next 3 games before they play Pittsburgh on December 7th are all really easy cakewalk games. So I feel pretty confident Baltimore can get this ship turned around and they can get back to where they could be at. And I do think that they could be the 2 seed. I also think, too, with the Buffalo Bills, they could, be a 3 seed and they can sneak up and win the AFC East. I think New England, too, down the stretch here, their schedule is tough. It is very, very tough. And I don't know if the Pats can be able to hold on, sustain that success for however long. But my playoff bracket, yeah. Chiefs are kind of sitting there as a 7 seed. Pats are a 6 seed. Colts are a 5 seed. Jags are a 4 seed. Bills are a 3 seed. Ravens are a 2 seed. Chiefs would be going to play in Baltimore on the road to start the playoffs. They would not, in the first time in the Mahomes era, they would not get or second time in the Mahomes era, I should say, that they would have to go on the road and play a road playoff game. Or I could be wrong. I think this could be the first time in the Mahomes era. Mahomes doesn't get to play a home playoff game ever. I could be wrong in that. I'll have to look that up. But this is going to be very interesting. I think the Colts do bottom out. I think they get that 5th seed. I only think just because the Texans right now aren't playing necessarily well and CJ Stroud's hurt, that kind of lowers their chances. It's really kind of a 2-horse race between Indianapolis and Jacksonville. And I think the Colts, with their second half of the schedule, it's not as good. The Jags, I think, have a better half the better half of the schedule. So we'll see. NFC. My NFC playoff bracket is very interesting. My division winners, I forgot to put them on here, but my division winners are very much different. They are very much different, and the only reason I say that is because I think a lot of teams are falling apart. So here's my division winners for the NFC, and let me just do that. I gotta click a couple buttons here. But here's my division winners for the NFC. I think Seattle wins the NFC West. They have played really well. They got a big win on Sunday night against the Commanders. They're playing really well. Sam Darnold has been a really good pickup for them at the quarterback position. I like Seattle here to win this division. I think they could steal it in the NFC West. Eagles and Bucks, I think, are the 2 locks for me. I think, the Panthers, they did steal a win in Green Bay, but Tampa Bay, I think, is just better. They're coming off a bye week now, so they're going to be healthy. They're going to be healthy a little bit. They're going to get some guys back. Hopefully, they'll be able to be a lot better down the stretch of the season. Same with the Eagles. I mean, the Eagles simply put, like, the NFC East is over. Like, the Eagles are going to be the first team to win back-to-back division titles in a long time. And it's only because the NFC East is an absolute horrendous garbage dumpster fire of a division right now. Nobody is at 500. Nobody is even close to catching the Eagles right now. And the biggest one, the shocker, is the Detroit Lions. I think they see them winning it for a third straight year. I see them winning the North for a third straight year. I just think Green Bay, that loss to the Panthers, it doesn't give me a lot of optimism for them to come into this second half of the season and knowing how tough their schedule is. I mean, they got to play all their division. They got to play the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions. They got to play Detroit again at Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. They have to play Minnesota twice. They have to play Chicago twice. All three of those other teams look way better than what Green Bay has looked. And I just don't think Green Bay is going to, I just don't think Green Bay is going to win the division. I think they have a lot of problems. They need to figure out those problems. They need to figure out those problems badly. So I have Detroit kind of sneaking up and winning this division. In the playoffs, though, the Niners do sneak in and make the playoffs over the Rams. Or the Niners actually sneak in and make the playoffs at the 7 seed. The Rams also sneak in too. I think you look at it, Carolina is going to be kind of fighting for either that 6th spot, maybe the 7th spot. But I think the Rams could really lock that 6th seed up. The Packers, they dropped from a 2 seed. They dropped from a 2 seed to a 5 seed. Just because I think they're going to fall. I think they're going to fall. I think you look at this, the Tucker Kraft loss too. That's another thing too. The loss of Tucker Kraft is brutal. They just haven't looked really good. In some instances, their 2 losses have just really exposed them. They haven't played well. And I just think they're not going to do it. Bucks at 4, Seahawks at 3. I got the Eagles at 2. Or I got the Lions at 2 and the Seahawks and the Eagles at 1. So those are my picks for division winners and the playoffs. I think Detroit gets the 2 seed. I think the Detroit is playing well. And yeah, they're 1-2 in division play, but they've played some good teams. They've still hung with some good teams. So I don't count the Lions out just yet. I think they'll still be very much in contention for a home playoff game once again. Now moving on, we're going to wrap up. We're getting close to wrapping up our show here. We're going to go to bringing home the bacon, and we're going to talk about a guy. First time this year, we're going to give out the McDavid Award, as I like to call it. And this guy did a phenomenal job, only in a losing effort. I believe this is the first wide receiver this season who has 3 receiving touchdowns. Drake London lost to the New England Patriots, but got 3 touchdowns, 9 receptions, 119 receiving yards. He is on the slab of bacon for this week. Good day to you, sir. Phenomenal job. And Atlanta also, too, man. I really was thinking that they would be a very good team this year. They've kind of still been the average Atlanta Falcons team. It's not been good. So now, moving on to our Pigskin Primetime Picks. We're recording this today on a Wednesday, so when this episode comes out, it comes out on a Thursday. Instead of having it come out on a Thursday for you guys to listen and already know what the projection is. But we got 3 primetime games this week. There is a game in Madrid for international games. I'm hoping that it's the last one. I don't want to see any more international games. So fingers crossed. But we got some good ones. We got a good Sunday night one, a great Monday night one. And if ESPN can figure out their stuff, I'll be able to watch it on YouTube TV and be able to watch the Monday night game. But let's get into it. Raiders and Broncos, Thursday Night Football. I got Broncos by 17 in this one. I'm just quick and to the cut. Raiders are bad. Looks like they might clean house again. Pete Carroll might be gone. Geno Smith has been a bad addition. As I shockingly said, he's a serviceable quarterback, but they need an actual quarterback for this team. The Raiders just are relatively bad, and they traded Jacoby Myers, which signifies to me that it's the white flag. They're raising the white flag on this season. I think Denver's playing really well. I think they get the win. I think they beat I think they beat the Raiders. I think they beat them handily, and they beat them by 17. Moving on to Sunday Night Football. Steelers and the Chargers. Pittsburgh going up against LA. This is in LA. I got the Steelers sneaking this one out. I got Pittsburgh winning this by 3. I got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers this year has got some wins. He stole some wins this year for the Steelers. I think this is a one that he could potentially steal. I think the Chargers are a relatively good team. I think this is going to be a close game. But I got the Steelers winning this one by 3 over the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. I think it's going to be a relatively close game. And now the last one, the Monday Night Football one, Eagles at the Packers. Everybody would say to me, if you thought I was choosing the Packers for this game, you are very much wrong after watching the Panthers game. I got Eagles by 7 in this game. I think Green Bay right now is they're on a potential downward spiral. They lose Tucker Kraft. They lose against the Panthers. They're not really, they're not looking like a really good team right now. And last week and 2 weeks ago against the Steelers, I thought that they had got over their issues. That's not the case. And I think the Eagles are just going to pounce on them. I think they're really going to make it interesting. I think Green Bay does make it close. The defense has played well enough to keep these games relatively close. But I got Philadelphia winning this one by 7. I think the Packers just really cannot seem to get over the Eagles. And Jordan Love has kind of got his Niners now. I mean, the Eagles are kind of the Eagles are his bugaboo. He has not won a game yet since taking over for the Green Bay Packers. He has not won a game against the Eagles. He is 0-2 in his career as the starter for the Packers. 0-2. Not good. So he's going to be 0-3 on Monday Night Football against the Eagles. I got them winning it by 7. And with that does it for us here today. Watch Snap the Pigskin wherever you get your podcasts. Or you can watch us on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. I mean, we're back on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and much more. So feel free to, if you don't like watching me and don't like watching my face, you can always hear my voice. You can listen to it on the road or wherever you go or wherever you get your podcasts. And next week, we are going to be getting closer and closer to the playoffs. There's 7 games left in the regular season. It is very exciting, very fun stuff to watch. So with that, we'll hopefully keep you updated. And with that, we will see you all next week. I'm Noah Clark. This has been another edition of Snap the Pigskin.